Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's ThaTimster, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can add animal AI to your games in the Blender game engine. So, as you can see up there, animal AI. So basically what we've got here is we have a player here. It's sort of third person. You can rotate around him, and when you press spacebar he shoots out a ball. So basically for our animal AI, you can see here we sort of have a sheep thing. You'll notice in the top corner we have a timer, death timer, health, run, and state. So basically what the state is the state of the animal. So right now it's in 1, which just means neutral, it's just eating, having a good time. Then if we move closer, then it changes it to 2. What that basically means is we now sort of have a different animation playing of the animal being aware. So now we sort of have the animal looking around its surroundings a bit more, trying to find the player. And then if we go really close, animal runs off, like that. And then because we're so far away now, it just changes back to stage 1, and keeps eating grass. Which is cool, but if we get close enough and then press spacebar, you'll notice it has health as well, which gets reduced until it reaches 0 or below 0, and then animal dies, and we have a death timer, which basically is just the time until the corpse disappears. So there you go guys, that's what we'll be doing today, either way. So the cool thing about the running away is it's always facing away from you. If you run after it, then it will always run away from you, like so. Which is pretty cool. And the even better thing is, well, if we just hide this, we can select the whole animal rig and press Shift-D, GX, and we can duplicate the duplicate them so we have more than just one. And now if we press 0 and if we press P, then we have heaps and heaps of properties, but again, lots and lots of animals, and they all do individual stuff, so all of them run off independently. But yeah, that's what we will be doing today. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is go File New. I'm going to open up a new file, Blender Game, GLSL, and frame rate 260. Then I'm going to turn on screencast keys. You don't need to do that. That's just for this, so you guys can see what I'm doing. Then we'll need a floor, so X, delete the cube, Shift A, and we're going to add a plane. You can call it floor if you like. And give it a new material, no specular, no back facing, and give it a texture, image or movie, UV, and click open. I'll just be using grass, so I know you can use whatever you want. Something like that. And if we go into texture view, select our lamp here, right click, and select Hemi. Then it'll be a weird color, so we need to unwrap it. So tab U unwrap, and lots of grass. Make a new window here by holding over till the cursor appears and dragging. Then UV image editor, press tab in this window, then select grass, and press S, and drag out. So we have a nice big texture, like so. Then I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to select the camera and press H to hide it, and join those two windows up. Press 1 and then 5, both on the numpad, and now we'll model our animal. So Shift A, and a cube, and this is sort of going to be fairly low quality. It's just going to be like a Minecraft animal. Basically it's just for demo purposes, so hopefully you will have made a lot nicer looking one. But yeah, something like like that, and we can call this body. Then we can go back and press numpad 1 again, press Shift A and add a cube, S, Shift Z, and scale something like that, and then S, Z, and squash it down a bit till we've got something like that, and across there, then Shift D, G, Y, and yep, something like that. Then select the other one here, Shift D, G, X, and all the way down to the back there. There we go. So now we have, yep, 4 legs and a body. Now it just needs a head. So we're going to press numpad 1, press tab, and to go into edit mode, then press Z to go into wireframe, A to deselect, then press B and drag over the vertices there. That should select the whole side. Then press E to extrude, S, and press E again, and then move it down a bit with G, and then R to rotate. And this is sort of just going to be the neck, so something like that. Then box select that whole side again, and then press E one more time, make it bigger like that, and E one more time, and S, and then there'll be the head. So this neck is looking a bit weird, so we might drag those back a bit, like so. Then we're going to select, the legs are a bit short, aren't they? Okay, well, we're going to select all our legs either way, so B, and drag it over all of those, then S, Z, and give them a better proportion, maybe something like that. Then hold down Shift, select the body, G, Z, and move it up a bit, like so. Then select all the legs again, select the body, and Control J, and that just joins them all up. Then we're going to press Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, add a bone. Then what we're going to press R90, and it's going to rotate it for us. Then I'm going to press Tab, click on the end here, and move it to the very back. Click the other side and drag it like that. So right clicking on it. Then once you got it on that line like that, we're going to press E, put a bone there, then E one more time, and you sort of just want it in the moving joints. So we have one big one for the whole head and 2 for the neck. Then we need 4 for the legs, so we're going to select the bone here, and then Shift D, and move it down, and press S, and then R90, and that'll rotate it for us. We can press 1 again and align it like so, drag it up so it's matching the feet or the legs. Then we're going to press 3 to go into side view, select the whole thing and drag it into one leg, then Shift D, G, Y, drag it into the middle of the other one. So you want it in the middle for both. Then hold down Shift, select both, press 1 to go into front view, then press Shift D, G, X, and move it over here. There we go. That's that done. So now go back into object mode. This animal needs a texture before we get all the deformations going. So give it a new material, no specular, we'll just call it animal, then no back facing either, and we'll just give it a random furry texture. So hop along to CG textures, and we'll click animals, and then I think if you scroll down it has a fur section, so click on that and find one you like. So maybe you like orange, and then making sure you're logged in, you can just click it and it will download for you. There we go. Then we'll go back into Blender and actually no, open up a GIMP. Then we need to open up our textures. Click open under user, go to downloads and scroll down all the way down to F. So there we go, there's orange fur right there, so click open and that will load up. Then to make this work nicely, we go under filters, map and make seamless. So that will take a while, I will muck around with the texture and there we go, that texture is seamless now. Then if you're not going to use it for anything else, click overwrite and set that to 100, click export, there you go, done. No more GIMP for today. So, go into texture view here, then click open and we'll open up our newly exported texture, which should be right there. There we go, it looks pretty horrible, so we're going to first of all press Ctrl A, apply scale, then tab, A to deselect, A to select everything, and Smart UV projection. There we go. Something like that. Then a new window over here, UV image editor, press tab, then A to select all of them, and S. And yep, scale it until you're happy with the texture, so I don't really mind that much. Oh. I'm actually going to press R90 and see if that gives different results. Now it just looks like a piece of wood. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully you've got a better model though, because this is fairly horrible. Select our animal here, so right click, select the animal, then press Z to go into wireframe, hold down shift and select the armature. Then we're going to press Ctrl P and parent with automatic weights. Then we can select our armature again, go into pose mode and there we go, moving legs. So they work fine, and now it seems to be, I think, that seems to work fairly okay, but the whole back of the animal seems to be moving, which isn't too great, but can be easily solved. So we'll just get rid of all of those. Then what we're going to do is, we'll go out of pose mode, turn to object mode, select our animal, and go into texture view if you like. Then we're going to go into the triangle here, or the vertex groups, and I'm going to select weight paint. We can't see anything, so we're going to press Z to go into wireframe, and there we go, that's the first one. So that's our big bone, which we don't actually need, so we're going to turn that weight to 0, and we're just going to paint blue all over everything, because that moving is just going to be annoying. Then select bone 1, and paint blue over everything. Oh, maybe not over there, so just on the corners of the cube, like so, and we'll be able to test it out in a minute. There we go. Bone number 2, same problem, has the whole cube highlighted. It's just a problem with the modeling, because usually you don't model like this. Usually model it a bit better and also rig it a bit better. But anyway, I think that is it. So I'm going to go into object mode now and select our armature, go into pose mode, select one of these, and now we only have minimal movements in the shoulders, which it shouldn't matter too much. Not as much as before. So anyway, we're going to click File, Save. I'm just going to go to my desktop, and we can call it Animal AI, or whatever you want to call it. Over here with the person, and select X-ray, then we can go into texture view down here, and we can see our armature, which is very handy. So now we need to press 1 and press Shift A. Oh, first of all, go into object view, then Shift A, and we're going to add a cube. This is going to be the animal movement. So we're going to have to select our skin here, change it to no collision, and same for the armature. No collision, it's already on that. I'm going to press S just to scale it down a little bit more. But there we go. So you want it just above the ground, like that. Then what we're going to do is select our armature here, hold down Shift and select the animal movement, press Ctrl P and parent, then select the animal movement cube, call it animal movement, then Ctrl S, save. Now if you press G, that all should move as one. We're going to need some animations, so we're going to have to get on to doing a whole lot of animating. So first of all, you're going to have a start and end value. The end value needs to be at around 500, I found out, so that's sort of the bare minimum. First thing we need to do is select our armature, go to pose mode, down here click record, select rotation, and press A to select everything, and then I, and that will insert 32 keyframes for us. Then select the head and go down here to frame 60, then select auto IK, so scroll down, click auto IK, then we're going to move it down a bit so the animal's sort of taking a mouthful of grass. Then we're going to press A to deselect, A to select everything, and press I. I'll insert another 32. Then we're going to go to frame 120, and this time maybe we'll move along the Y axis like this, so it's going to move its head over here. Go back to frame 120, then A to deselect, A to select everything, and I to insert another 32 keyframes. Go to frame 0 again, so drag the slider all the way back, then make a new window, graph editor, and make that a bit smaller. Then A to deselect, Ctrl K to select the one frame, then Shift D, GX 180. And if you did all those right, we should now have another keyframe at 180, which is the same as at frame 0. So that basically means it can continue the animation pretty much seamlessly without us noticing, which is good. So there's the first one done, just the idle animation of it doing nothing. Then we're going to continue, and this time it's going to be an aware animation, so we'll just make that smaller, and press 1 again, and this time it can start at 180 and 30 frames from there, so 210. It's going to lift its head up and we'll look around, maybe something like that. Then A to deselect, A to select everything, then I, and insert those keyframes. Then it's going, then down here, I think another 30 frames, so 240. Select our snout and move it this way. Then A to deselect, A to select everything, I to insert a keyframe, so it looks over there. Then we need it to look the other way, so another 30 frames, 270, select the snout again, move it over here, and then A to deselect, A to select everything, and then I, and insert another 32 keyframes. So we have our animal looking up, looking this way, looking the other way, and now we need it just to go back down again. So frame 180, then make this window a bit bigger, A to deselect, Control K to select that one frame, and Shift D, GX 100, and that's probably a bit short, we're going to press, with that still selected, we're going to press GX20, and there we go, that should work a bit better. And now we just need a running animation, so I'm going to press T to get rid of that toolbar, and press 1, and down here it's going to start at frame 300. You can always extend out these. I mean, if you think this is a little bit short for an aware animation, you can always make that longer if you feel it needs to be. Anyway, this next one's going to start at 300 and probably end at 400, but we'll just have to see again. Frame 320 I think worked well. We're going to select just click in there, select one of the legs, then press R to rotate, and rotate it out like that. Then select the front one here and rotate it like that. Then select the last two, individually select the last two and rotate them like so. Then press A to deselect, and we'll move the snout up as well. A to deselect, A to select everything, and then I, and insert another 32 keyframes. Then we need frame 300 again, so move this cursor to frame 300, A to deselect, Control K to select that one frame, and then we're going to press Shift D, GX 40. So there we go, there we have one running animation. And now we just need a opposite leg movement, so we're going to go to frame 360, and this time select our front leg, and instead of it going forwards, it's going to go backwards. So R to rotate, and backwards, same with the front leg here, like that, and select our back legs, and they're going to go forward like that. I'm going to move up the snout a bit as well. Then A to deselect, A to select everything, and I to insert a keyframe. And we need a finishing stance, so we're going to go back to frame 300, A to deselect, Control K to select a frame, and Shift D, GX 80. There we go. So now if we press play, we have our animal running. So now we just need to set up the logic bricks to get this animal working properly. Control S and save. Then we're going to make one big window like so. Then up the top here, click Logic Editor, make that smaller. Then if you haven't noticed already, down here by the controllers is a little plus sign. If you click that, you get a big panel here, which is the state panel. So for an AI, you obviously need different states to determine different behaviors. So that's what this panel is very useful for. First of all, what you might be sort of confused about is why is there two, and what does visible and initial mean. Basically what it means is visible is the ones you can see in this menu, the actual ones you're changing, and initial is the one that the game starts on. So there we go, initial state the game starts on. So basically when you're editing it, you just need to click here, you don't have to click both. We're going to add an always sensor. It's going to be on true. Then we're going to add then we're going to have to hold down shift, select our rig. Then we're going to have to press Z and hold down shift and select our armature. So we have to have both selected. Then we're going to add an action to the armature, not the animal movement, and add an AND controller to the animal movement and join the two up. So because we only have one object, the armature, that's animated, we're going to have to use the armature to add all the action actuators. So select armature action down here. We'll quickly drag up a timeline, and down here we have our idle animation that goes all the way to frame 180, so it's going to end at frame 180. So by default it's always going to be playing that. Then we're going to add a near sensor, and we're going to add the property player, And basically what this is, or set that to true, is it senses how close the player is. So maybe a realistic distance of 25 and a reset of 27 or 25 units. It senses the player, and when that happens, we're going to go to the actuator side, select state, and click number 2 down here. So join those two up. Oh, add an AND actuator. Join that with that, that with that. Then select number 2, so it's going to change it to state 2. And yep, that should work fine. The state is going to be aware. Then where it says visible, select number 2. You can select initial as well if you want to, doesn't really make a difference. Then add an always sensor on true and an action on the armature. Join the two up with an AND actuator. And this is going to be our aware animation. So if we go back to layer 1, this is going to be our idle. I'm just naming them so we can keep track of what we're doing. Then it's going to be armature action, and it starts the aware animation at frame 180. So it starts at frame 180 and finishes at frame 300. So fill those boxes in. There we go. That's done. Now we need the option for if our player does get close and the animal notices it, and then the player wants to back away and leave the animal alone. So first thing we need to do is add a near sensor, actually 2 near sensors. We'll just call one close and one far. And basically, select player for both properties. And now for this one is if our player gets close, that we want it to run. So if we get our player to go within, say, 12 units of the animal, we want our animal to run away. So it's going to be a reset distance of 15. So when that does happen, we're going to select state over here. We're going to have to select our animal movement and select state, then join that up, and it's going to set it to state 3. Now what we've accidentally done is added the state to the armature because we didn't have our animal movement selected, which is a pain. So we can just click to get rid of that. Then under animal movement we'll add a state and just join that up and set state 2. Basically it's just to keep it sort of organized and not everything relying on the armature to run. So anyway, we have a always sensor, and it's not going to be always setting it to state 3. We need another AND actuator, and when it gets close it's going to set it to state 3. However, if a player backs away, so how close did we have on layer 1? So if state 1, if we have a look on state 1 over here, we had a distance of 25 and 27. So if we go to number 2, state 2, we should probably set this to a higher value, so maybe 30 and 32, or even just 28 and 30 should work fine. Then add an AND controller and join that up, and before you do anything, for the far controller make sure you select invert. So if the player isn't this close, then we can add a state over here, and it's just going to set the animal back to idle. So select state 1 there, and this one should be state 3. Then we can minimize all those. Hopefully they are working fine for you. I think you can select true if you want on that, and yeah, true as well if you want, shouldn't matter too much. Then we're going to press Ctrl S and save. Then we're going to go on to layer 3, oh not layer 3, state 3. Basically this is when the player gets too close and the animal wants to run. So we need to add two game properties, one integer, one boolean. First one is going to be called timer and the second one is going to be called run. So basically what we need is when you do get too close, we need to tell the animal how long to run. So this is basically, you can do whatever you want for this, but I'm just going to choose 60, or maybe even 75, somehow that should be fine. So down here we're going to click add sensor property, and when run is equal to true on a true pulse, then we're going to add another property over here, join the two up like so, and then it's going to add to timer -1. There we go. Then minimize those, and we add one more property on this side, and that is when timer is equal to 0. You can select tap if you want, doesn't really seem to make a difference. Then we're going to join those up, add another property on this side, and when our timer is equal to 0, it's going to assign run to false. Then down here we're going to add two more actuators, so an edit object and a motion. Then we're going to set the edit object to be track2, and we'll set that to the player later. So basically it's going to be tracking to the player when run is equal to true, so join that one up with that, and it will also be moving. And so there we go, there's our motion. Now one thing we forgot to do is to set our animal movement to a proper character. So under physics, select character, then click actor, and it can be invisible. You can also add collision bounds if you want. To get all this working properly, we need a player first to do some testing. So we're going to just leave that there for the minute. Then we're going to press Shift S, cursor to center, Shift A, and add a player, or another cube, which will basically be the player. Then we're going to move it up, and our player is going to be dynamic, or you can select character, doesn't really make much of a difference. Collision bounds, then we're going to have to add keyboards, so click there, press K, and do that. I think we need 4, so 1, 2, 3, or even 5 for a sprint function. Then if we make this window a bit bigger, the first one is going to be true, and it's going to be W, second one S, third one A, and the fourth one D. And then the last one on true as well is going to be left shift. So we're going to need 5 AND controllers. So just click there and press A on the keyboard, and they should pop up. And we're going to join all our keyboard sensors to those, like so. Minimize all those, and then after that we're going to add 5 motions. So we're going to have to select these individually and join those up. So the first one is going to be in the X direction, so maybe 0.1 or 0.2, whatever you want. The second one's going to be the opposite, and the third one is A, so I'm guessing that's positive Y, and the last one will be negative Y, and join those up. And the last one's going to be sprint, so that's it's going to be double the speed on here. Yeah, somehow that should be fine. Then one more thing we need to do is drag the W key down to the left shift, so you have to be going forward to sprint, and yeah, you can leave it out if you don't want it, but that's sort of just default. Then we're going to press Shift A or Shift S because it is selected, Shift A, add a camera, then press Alt R to get rid of rotation, then RZ90. Oh. And if you haven't noticed already, it's adding keyframes to objects for us, which isn't helpful, so unclick that, unclick rotation, and remove. Oh, this one has it as well. So this is sort of a pain with the record feature, is that as soon as you deselect the armature, it adds it to everything that you move or touch, but luckily nothing else has been damaged. So anyway, we're going to press RZ90 until the top of the arrow is facing towards the animal. Then we can press 1 and move our camera, press R to rotate, and we want it sort of with our player, looking at our player, but also at the distance behind the player. Then when you're happy with that, hold down Shift, select the camera, and then select the cube, press Ctrl P and parent. Then we're going to press Alt H to hide the stuff we've hidden, which is just this camera. We can delete that. Now if we press 0, there will be our view. So you might still want to make that a bit nicer like that. Then once you're happy with it, I think to the camera, we're going to go and add a mouse sensor. It's going to be movement, and we're just going to add the mouse look script. So if you don't have the mouse look script, it should be in the description. So hopefully you guys can get it from there. So once you've found it, click on it and click open, and that should open up the script for us. Then we can click mouselook.py. There we go, and now if we press P, we can look around like this, and there we go, nice sort of third person setup, which is cool. Now if you move really close to the animal, it's still constantly playing the idle animation for one reason, because this cube here, or our player, doesn't actually have the property player. So quickly add that, then we'll finish adding our state properties to our animal here. So select our animal movement cube, then under visible select number 3. So now we're going to add a property down here, and it's going to be run, it's going to be false. Select that on true, then add an AND controller and join that up. Then we're going to add a property, or add a state first of all. So it's going to set it back to state 1 after it's finished running, so it's idle again, and then it's also going to reset our properties here. So it's going to assign run to true. That should work because we're changing states, but yeah, anyway, run to true, and I'm going to assign our timer to 75. So Control S, save. Now we'll need to get our edit object working, so we can select our player here, call him player, then select our animal movement cube down here and select player because we want it to track to the player. Then if we go down here, select local, this is the axes that the edit object works on. So I found the active side was the Y axis, so whatever direction that's facing in, when you enable edit object and track to, it will be tracking on that axis. So basically what we have to do is select our armature here, press Alt P to clear the parent, and click clear parent. Then we're going to select our cube, press RZ -90, and oh no, RZ 180, and yeah, just rotate it until this green line, or the Y axis, is facing towards the player. Then once you got that, we can select the armature, hold down shift, select the cube, and control P, and parent back to the animal movement. Then that part is done. We need a delay time though, so it doesn't just instantly turn in a direction in a millisecond, because that just doesn't look right. So a delay time of around maybe 20 or even just 15. And our motion needs to be in the negative y-axis, so maybe minus 0.3, although the sprinting is at 0.4, so I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at 0.3 and see how that goes. So then I'm going to press Ctrl S, click Save, and now if we press 0 and press P, there we go. Our animal has a very strange aware sort of animation, but there we go, they're aware. One helpful thing we can do though is if you click Render Settings, Debug Properties, and now if we click the information sign, we can have all our properties show up on the side. We also want to select this one here. So now if we press P, there we go, there's all our properties. Right now it's in state 2, so it's aware, and if we move back, there we go, changes to state 1, it's just eating grass. State 2, it's aware, and state 3, there we go, runs away. Now it's reset, which is cool, but it was just about to run off, so I'm going to make this plane way bigger and try that again. So there we go, it's on state 1, state 2, state 3. If you follow it, it will keep going, and there we go. We are a little bit faster than it, so I guess that's sort of not fair, but anyway, we have it running, we just don't have an animation, so that's all we're missing. So select our armature here, add an action, make sure you're set to number 3. Then when run is set to true, we want to join that up to here. So to an action, then we're going to select armature action, and it's going to be from frame 300 to 380. So frame 300 to 380. So there we go. That should work now. Control S, save it one more time, and press numpad 0, press P, and there we go. There's our running animation. So now if we run after the animal, it runs away from where we're going, and yeah, there we go. Now, this is sort of optional if you want to have dying animals, which I guess is sort of mean, but I guess it sort of adds a bit of realism. Say if you have a hunting game or something. So basically we need a dying state. So have a property for the animal which once it reaches 0 it obviously falls over and dies. So first of all we need an animation, a dying animation. So go to frame 0, press I to insert rotation. We need to go to frame 60 down here, then RX 90, and then I insert rotation again, and then Control S and save. There we go, and now our animal sort of falls over like that. So select state 4 here, then under animal movement select action and animal movement action, and it's just going to be down here from frame 0 to frame 60. So make sure it's you have the animal movement selected, not the armature, because we don't have a dying animation on the armature. Make sure you've got that working, then add an always sensor on this side, add another one as well. So the first one is not going to be true, it's just going to be like that with the action joint up. Then we're going to add a game property. This is going to be called death timer. So basically this is how long the object stays in the scene before it disappears. Death timer, and we're going to select integer. Now this is however many ticks you want it to last for. There's 60 frames in a second, so that divides perfectly into 6, meaning we have 6 seconds of this animal staying. So if you wanted more, you'd obviously times that out until you have a good number, but that seems to work fine for me. Then on our always sensor, we're going to select true, add an AND actuator and a property, and it's going to continuously add death timer -1, and then when the property death timer is equal to 0, then it's going to end the object. So edit object and end object. Now we only need bullets or something to make the animal fall over. So first of all, we're going to have to add a sort of mini bullet spawning system, which isn't really going to be bullets, it's going to be just spheres. So Shift S, cursor to center, then I'm going to go layer 2 here, Shift A, and we're going to add an icosphere. This is going to be, oh, you can just leave the name, but we need a property called bullet, and down here you can select dynamic. It's going to be ghost, but it will have collision bounds of sphere. Then we always have to add movement to it, so add an always sensor, motion actuator, join the two up, and this is constantly going to be moving in a direction, so maybe just 0.6 in the x-axis. Then back to layer 1, we're going to select our player here, Shift S, cursor selected, Shift A, and I'm going to add one more cube, move it up, press S to make it smaller, hold down Shift, select the cube, Control P, and parent. So we're basically parenting this cube to our player. We need to make sure that's on no collision and invisible, and this is going to be our bullet spawner, so I guess you can call it bullet spawner if you want to. Then when we press spacebar, it's going to add in the object icosphere or bullet. There we go. Then we're going to give it a lifetime of maybe 180, so 3 seconds. We shouldn't need much more than that, and that should work fine. So press 0 and press P, and now if we press spacebar, we have a bullet, and our animal needs to sense collisions. So go to frame 0 down here, then we're going to select our animal movement, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, add another cube, and this is going to be our animal sensor. So we're going to press S a little bit, and then SX, and scale it along the x-axis, move it along, SX, just a bit more, and then SZ, or SZ, then GZ, and this is going to be like the health sensor, or just call it health sensor, or could even be bullet sensor, just the thing that minuses health off. It's going to be sensor, detectors, and it's going to be invisible. You can add collision bounds as well. Just for accuracy, we're going to add 4 collision sensors. No, actually only 3. All for bullet. And then hold down Shift once you got all 3 with bullet, then hold down Shift and select the animal movement. And one of these is for each state it's in, so it can get damaged on each state. I think there was one sort of fault with this, is sometimes it took double damage, but yeah, I guess you can turn down the damage and it won't be as bad. So we're going to add an AND sensor on state 1, then if it does collide with bullet, it's going to immediately set it to state 3, so running, and it's also going to, we need a property called health, and I'm just going to have 100, so it's going to set it to state 3, but also it's going to add health minus 10. So if it does double up, it's minusing 20 health, and it still takes 5 hits to get rid of the animal. So there we go, that's the first state done. State 2, when it's aware if you hit it, so join that up to that. Then state 3, so when it does collide, it's going to set it to state 3, and it's also going to take away 10 from the health. And that's that one done. And now the last one, so if you manage to hit it while it's running away, I guess we're sort of faster than it, so that's probably fairly easy. Then it's going to, we don't need to set it to state 3, because it is already on state 3, and also for you to hit it while it's running, you'd have to be fairly close, so it's just going to stay on state 3 either way. Then, under property here, we're going to select health, and it's going to add health minus 10 as well. Go to state 1, then when the property health is equal to 0, then it's going to set it to state 4, so the death state. So join that up. So that's what happens if it runs away and then it stops and then it falls over and dies. But yeah, I guess you can sort of add that to all of the layers. Also, what we need to do to increase sort of accuracy is add another property and delete this and sensor and add an or sensor and join both of the properties to it. And this one's also going to be health, but it's going to be when health is less than 0. So just in case it somehow doubles up and goes, say, minus 20 or something, it's still going to die, it's not going to keep going. If health is equal to 0 or less than 0, then it's going to change it to state 4. So that's state 1 done. Then add 2 properties here, just the same thing. So it's checking on each state. So there we go, set state 3 to the following settings of the when it's equal to 0, and I just noticed I made a mistake, which has happened a lot. Make sure you do select OR instead of AND. Maybe I did the same. Yep, no, I did it right there. So just this layer, yeah, you can just swap them down here, you don't actually have to replace them. One thing we forgot to do is we have to select our sensor here, hold down shift and select our movement cube, then control P and parent. Also what we need to do is make this window bigger and select the eye on both of these so they show up while we're playing. Then make that smaller, scroll in a bit, and there we go. Animal runs away, and if we hit it with a bullet, it loses health. There we go, from 80 to 60 to 40, and if we run after it and throw bullets at it, oh, there we go, 0, and the animal falls over and dies, and our death timer counts down, and there we go, animal disappears. So there you go, guys, that's how you can add your own animal AI to your games in the Blender game engine. I'm sure you can adapt it for different types of animals, like, I don't know, farm animals, chickens, probably just birds as well. Can probably use them for whatever. But yeah, that's a sort of basic AI setup. You could also, if you wanted to, get a sort of ray system going that if there is an object in front of the animal, it will run around it or turn away from it. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the simple setup of it and introduce you to the states, which can be very handy, especially in when having AI. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Feel free to leave a like or share with your friends if you think they'd find it helpful. That's the end of the tutorial, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.